Let's play out Nadar. Scry 1. Raiju on top can give us lethal. I can feel the fire in me today, Dragonlings. We're checking out Boros Aggro, or as this is dubbed, Boros Aggro, as it was a deck I made for my good friend Uncle Russ. What are we looking to do? Smart down our opponent's life total and bring in a really cool and sweet victory. How are we going to get there? Let's check out our curve. We're taking a look at a pretty low-end curve deck. Rapid batteries on haste. Kumano faces Kakazan, +1/+1, and a 2/2 body by turn 3. Wolf will initiate a 1/2 well-statted 1-drop. Also an effective way to deal with annoying enchants and artifacts. On top of that, we're looking to keep up some buffs and modify our deck to victory with Luminarch Aspirant, putting out some troublesome creatures in our opponent's way with first strike like Thalia, protecting our creatures with Valorous Stance, or taking down some of the more fightier and thicker creatures, if you will. We're also doubling up on our 3-drops with a couple Adelines. We can go a little bit wide and put on some very strong pressure. Nadar Selfless Paladin, so we can venture into the dungeon for some extra card advantage when needed in the mid to late game. Elite Spellbinder for that awesome hand knowledge, and 3/1 statted flyer. Brutal Cathar to disrupt our opponent's board state so we can continue to advance ours while keeping their creatures out of the way so ours can push through. Thundering Raiju, which I think has been a fantastic all-star in this meta and a lot of aggressive decks. I don't see a ton of it right now outside of a really aggressive shell, which is what we're fitting into here, but I've been very impressed with the card nonetheless. Always coming in as a 4-mana 3/3 with haste, and the more creatures you have modified, the better this is going to do damage to your opponent, especially since we're doing Kumano faces Kakazan and Luminarch Aspirant. Absolutely fantastic. Also running the Wandering Emperor, Great Exile effect, lets us deal with a pesky creature, make it 2/2, or modify one of our creatures with first strike and a +1/+1. Pretty handy on that. Legion Angel coming in here so we get access to more 4/3s from our sideboard to really put in that final nail in the coffin when we need it. And Alvin Dawn Sky, a 5/4 Vigilance, which actually plays around a bit of the stuff that's going on in the meta with respect to the Wanderer. That's played around some of the Morzov and Orzhov decks. But this thing also, when it dies, you have 2 options of what you can choose from. You can either put some permanents into play that equate to a CMC of 4 or less, total, I should say, or you can massively buff your board with 2 +1/+1 counters. Absolutely well statted either way. I was just a big flyer, and when it dies, you're always going to get some benefit. So absolutely in love with this card. Land-based wise, we're double running here on Cave with a Frost Dragon. This is going to let us push in some late game flyer damage, and with our manland, Iganjo for a little bit of extra removal. Playing Den of the Bugbear again for a little bit of swing and a hit, some extra damage, and 1 Sokinzon when you're out of creatures and you need some 1/1s, whether to block or get in that damage. Lastly, in our sideboard is I think where we get a bit of the fun. So we have double portable hole. This is really handy coming into the mirror match or playing against other annoying token decks like Mono Block or Orzhov. Angel's Fire Ignition when we're up against aggro, so we can gain some life and keep alive. The flashback is very nice here. Archon of Emeria, which we can substitute in against any runes-based deck to stop their plan in its tracks. Redain here, kind of against the control matchup. You know, Doomscar suddenly costs 2 more. Pit that with Thalia. You're having a great time. Skyclave Apparition when we need to deal with a lot of non-token permanents that we need to remove from our opponent's board. Wedding Party being a prime example, or Meathook Massacre, or any 4-mana Planeswalker. Stemming from that as well, lastly, is the Showdown of the Skulls. This is sort of a late game finisher that you can substitute in if you're finding you're just not getting enough gas to finish off the opponent. Showdown is a great hasty let's get 4 cards and stop buffing up a creature. So I enjoy the 2 of here as a good option to bring in when you're just finding you need a little bit more gas against your opponent. Dragonlings, I hope you do enjoy Boros Aggro. This deck has been a lot of fun to jam on the ladder. Please remember to hit that like and subscribe button, the bell notification for more. Keep believing. I'll catch you next time. We do have Luminarch into double Spellbinder and Owl. This seems pretty good. Usually like to beat an Orzhov deck. Okay, because your deck is an Orzhov. I mean, I hope that would be nice if that was the case, but we'll see what happens. This is Izzet. I'm not really sure what deck is running with strategic planning in Izzet though. I'm not aware of the combo list playing strategic planning, so this might be maybe like a... it's Mill. Okay. So this is a Tasha's Hideous Laughter dual strike deck. So that means me getting out the Spellbinder next turn will be very powerful if we can do Spellbinder into Spellbinder to grab our hand information from them. That land probably comes in as a blue. If they've already ditched the dual strike and a Tasha's, there's a very strong possibility they have a secondary Tasha in hand. Bladen is red, interesting. Well, I'm still going to go ahead and Spellbinder here. So we were right. There's both Burn Down the House and Tasha's, so we're just going to take that Tasha's. Pushing damage. We do have to be aware of the Burn Down the House, the Invoke Calamity, and the double Windfall. But that's honestly okay. Given that this would up it by 2, they'd have enough treasure. There's not much point to me going in for Spellbinder here unless I'm apt to hit. I think I'm just going to go and push damage. They'll cast the Windfall here and then probably go into Burn Down the House or the Invoke Calamity. So we'll just hold up our removal. Or, well, our protection, I should say, with Valorous Stance. Burn Down the House being cast. We're going to go and actually protect our Spellbinder here. Now I just play this out and I'm going to go for an Owl the Dawn Sky. And we'll push 4 to face. Opponent goes down to 6. Lethal on board, forcing them to have to develop another board clear or try to just win game on spot with a big ton of mill. The nice thing with Owl here as well is if they do kill Owl, I'm going to be able to look at the top 7 cards and put stuff into play. Which potentially is enough to set up lethal, especially because we have Sokens on in for 2/1/1 Hasties. So all we need from Owl is 4 damage worth of creatures on board. We have 2 in hand. Command's fine. Owl is still alive, and they discarded the Fading Hope. We're going to go for the Sokens on play. Because if they were ever going to bounce anything, they would do it right now. So there's the Fading Hope. We push 2 damage through, unless they decide to spike field. And we're going to play out our land here and go to cast the Elite Spellbinder. They've already gotten rid of 1 Jawari and a second. So now we can just kind of strip their hand. They have double Invoke Calamity and another Galvanic iteration. So I think we'll just take the Invoke Calamity. Let them only kind of get 1. They have only 6 mana open. Opponent's sitting at 4. A lot of ways we can set up a lethal. We'll probably just do Den into Owl the Dawn Sky on the next turn. All they have access to is they'd have to head a land and then they could Galvanic into Invoke. I don't know that that's enough. I think their plan might be Galvanic. Galvanic into Windfall. That might be their only out to just try to get a mass of cards, but then we still just have lethal on board. So they need to deal with this board state. Interesting to see like straight up mill on ladder. I've like in alchemy I've seen it, but I've not seen it on standard. Not for a while anyways. But not this specifically. Okay, just wait for Calamity, sure. Might just be burn down the house. Where's my command? Okay, probably deal 2. Kill the Spellbinder, maybe make a treasure. Yep, deal 2, Fading Hope, bounce 1, yep. X out. So Thundering Raiju off the top is lethal here. Having Radiant for strategic planning, sure. Milling land and iteration. So Raiju off the top is lethal. Emperor unfortunately is not. But we are just going to go for an Owl the Dawn Sky and attacking for 1, put them to 3. Only 6 mana open. Galvanic and Windfall. Invokes at 7. But I think we're in a good spot. And if they manage to do with Owl on my token and bounce it back, we still have our Den of the Bear open. Yep, iteration's fine. Command's fine. And we're just going to go ahead and +1 out of the Dawn Sky.
Then guide it like water. We've got the edge in this.
Then becomes a 6/5, and we're fine. So, looking good. Obviously, like if they don't have removal, like we're gonna just trample over. But if it's a 2+ removal hand, it really sets us back because we can't stick a threat on the board. That being said, I do like our hand of like potentially Thalia into Nadar. We could also develop a Luminarch on turn 2, depending what kind of deck they are. If it's Izzet, I'd really like to go with the Thalia. No, not mono white aggro, Darth. We are Boros aggro. So this is a mono white shell, but incorporating Thundering Raiju, and we're gonna go for Thalia just to be safe, as well as Thundering Raiju and Kumano Faces Kakazan, as well as some select cards in the sideboard. Ah, they're Grixis. I'd like to know what's in my opponent's hand. Yeah, I just know red in hand. Loth, and iteration. Let's take that iteration away. Heavily tax one iteration to force the other to really have to go in. Grixis friends? Maybe. It could be. I mean, Loth and Sorin are just really good. This sounds like mono white with extra steps. What's going on, Joe? How you doing today? It's not quite mono white with extra steps. There are some good add-ins for playing Boros. How you doing today? Welcome on in, my friend. So no removal accessible in hand. Sorin and Loth are taxed up by 1. I doubt the iteration here. They do iteration. Alright. So what makes it fun though? Yeah. Makes it interesting. Cool. Initiate. We're on 3 with nothing play. I think I'm actually fine developing Nadar. I'm gonna go ahead and scry. Spellbinder's nice. I'll take that. Double commitment on Bolt, only 2 land up, nothing else to cast. So let's go to combat first. We're gonna make a treasure token. And we're gonna cast in the Spellbinder. Fable, Sorin. I think at this point I'd rather take the Lulth. And we'll play out the Hopeful Initiate. Hey, what's going on, guy? How you doing tonight, friend? So I take the Lulth over the Sorins because they play the land, get the Lulth, and then they automatically have 2 blockers. When they play in the Sorin, they can't. They only get 1 blocker. Lucky Chimera, what is going on, friend? How you doing today? Happy Monday. How's the brightest flame in MTG today? Oh, well, thank you, friend. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We're just going to have lethal here. This is Brutal Cathar. Cathar takes token. And there's lethal. I'm doing good, Chimera. I'm doing good. How are you doing today? Oh, things were busy at work, but it was like busy in a good way. What do we got? We've got Kumano into Luminarch into Spellbinder. We hit 4 lands and have all our colors, so if we draw into Raiju, we're good. We're auto-buffing board. We get a 2/2 on there. I'm going to keep. Especially when we're on the play. We'll go Plains into Luminarch. Izzet? Alright, so if we're playing against Izzet, change of plans, we're going to be Thalia. And then we'll do Thalia into Spellbinder. Slight change of plans. I see the Izzet land, and I see a Thalia. I can't resist the 3/2 Thalia. Curious what's in opponent's hand, so we'll drop out the Spellbinder and let's get a gander. Burn down the house, the Fury, Disruption, so double burn down irregardless. I think we're taking the Celestis. And we'll just push damage. Because either way, like, everything else is taxed up, so we take away their rock and make it more. We just kind of keep them off of everything. Yeah, Breed's fine. Play in here, we'll drop in Luminarch. Hit next, buff Spellbinder, push 6, and end the turn. So burn down cannot hit my board yet. They don't have treasure, 1 unknown card in hand. We have lethal on board. Thalia is always the right play. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. I'm not gonna activate Cave. We save Cave. Because if this is Spikefield Hazard, we Valorous Stance to protect. Great, so indestructible. If they try to Jawari, we pay. And they have no other responses. And there we go. Adeline is bad. Adeline is good, it's just the fact I messed up. I like going Battery on Initiate. But I think I want to do Initiate and Luminarch first. Seeing what opponent... Okay, mono white. And they have Initiate. Start. Yikes. Well, I'll match Initiate into Initiate. Okay. So they are strict mono white. We don't attack here. Another Luminarch. Yikes. Okay. And torch trigger on the 3/4. I'd have to... We killed that. Okay. Usher's fine. That's fine. The Gonjo kills the Initiate. In the turn. Okay. Well, removal's holding and they're not drawing lands, so that helps, but dealing with that Luminar's still tricky. Get rid of the Usher, flash in the Wanderer, draw on a land. +1 here.
We've got the edge.
Play this, drop in Thalia. Play in Rabbit Battery. Configure Battery onto Thalia. Hold back on attacks. I can't get aggressive at the moment. And the Thalia is not gonna help me.
Strike fast and strike hard.
Okay. Sure, 4-3. Gonjo. That might actually be enough to help. Push in damage. Minus to make a samurai. End the turn.
To me.
Trigger resolve. The Gonjo slams down and we kill... I'd rather kill the Initiate here. Because Initiate in the long run is just a pain. We'll block here. We're gonna +1 up the... Do I make another 2/2? I think we'll do this. And we'll just keep throwing down damage. Like, this is 10 damage, right? Forces them to 7. The third land, there is a Brutal Cathar, unfortunately. That's fine. Let's play out Nadar. Scry 1. Raiju on top can give us lethal. I think I'm actually going to reconfigure. We'll go to Nadar. We're going to +1 here. Make Nadar the 5. And we're just going to swing in. We'll make a 1/1 Goblin. When it goes to 3, get back our Initiate, and end the turn. Cathar is fine. Thundering Raiju slams down. We +1 the Emperor. And there we go. Okay.